Hey everybody, welcome to the Literacy Teachers YouTube channel where we're all about helping you to inspire, motivate, and change how your students read and write for academic success. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about games that support reading development in struggling readers specifically, okay? And I have an earlier video on how video games can support students reading, right? Any student kind of globally. And what I want to dive into today is video games that can support reading for struggling readers specifically, okay? So, you know, I like to think, right, I'm going to share with you, let's see, 4 games. And I like to think that there's something on this list that, you know, a kid can connect with. They won't like all of them, but I like to think that of these 4, there's one of them that's going to work for a struggling reader out there. So keep in mind that when I share this list is not in any particular order. I think all of these games are great. They're all very different and they're all worth taking a look at. Each one sort of offers things that the others don't. As always, you should review them, make sure you're comfortable with the content and that they are age appropriate. I would say in general, you know, these games are probably going to be appropriate. Some of them, you know, maybe more like 15, 16, but some of them also more like 10, 11, 12 kind of a range. Okay, so probably these games are not going to really be appropriate for anybody under the age of 10. Now, the first game, Delight Games. All right, I have talked about Delight Games before, and it's really predominantly a text-based game. It's going to look the closest to actually reading a book, and it's a choose-your-own-adventure style game. The stories are largely sci-fi and fantasy. There are some graphics, but this one is really heavy on the text. So your kids are going to read a page, page and a half, and then they're going to have 2 or 3 choices to make, right, that guide the path of the main character, right? It's, you know this, I know this, right? We know what this looks like. That's exactly what this is, right? It's a choose your own adventure game. And struggling readers, by the way, find a lot of joy in Delight Games. I've done research on this with Delight Games, and they really find that they can get into the story, they can enjoy it on its own terms, and they have a good experience with it. So if you've got a struggling reader that's really into sci-fi and fantasy, and you're comfortable with the content, then this could be a good game to give them. The next one up is 80 Days. 80 Days has been around for a while. It's a video game adaptation of Around the World in 80 Days, and there is some reading in here. There's obviously reading in all of these games, but it is significantly less than what you would find in Delight Games. So 80 Games looks more what I would say like a video game looks like, how I think of a video game, and less like a book, which Delight Games looks more like a book to me. With 80 Games, students have to be very skillful at paying attention to details, and they do have to engage in some analytical thinking if they want to win. Now, 80 Days gives lots of options, right? It is a choose your own adventure style kind of a thing where they're having to make decisions, and that changes the trajectory of the main character. There are lots of options. I've personally played this game many times. I've never won, and I've never quite had the same experience twice, okay? So it really allows for multiple replays with lots of different experiences. Delight Games also allows for multiple replays, but I think 80 Days has a lot more possible experiences that somebody can have. All right, next up, Device 6. Now, Device 6 is a story about a girl named Anna, and Anna has woken up on an island with no memory of how she got there. Happens to the best of us. It mixes story with puzzles. So what readers have to do is solve puzzles to progress and gain additional information. The text is not that heavy. The story, I think, is super engaging, and then the puzzles add another layer of challenge to it, right? So you can really get a kid reading and engaging while also developing some analytical thinking skills here. Like I said, not Device 6 or 80 Days, you also have some analytical skills that come into play, but there's not really puzzles and challenges in Device 6. There's not really puzzles and challenges in 80 Days, but there are puzzles embedded in Device 6. So it's different kinds of analytic skills, all right? So the games are really nice and complementary of each other. And then the last one that I'm recommending is Lifeline. Now, Lifeline is an interactive story. It takes place over several days, and it is entirely text-based. Now, players engage in a series of text messages with the main character as they're trying to help this person survive a spaceship crash. Lifeline has other similar games with different storylines that are available as well. Now, of all these games, like I said, Delight Games is the one that closest resembles a book, but regardless, students are still likely to perceive Delight Games as an actual game. And I base this on the research that I've done in looking at how adolescents and adults think about Delight Games. Now, these are, if you're an educator, these are not going to fit probably into a traditional school curriculum, but you can think about recommending these games for students to engage with outside of school. And really what's going to happen here with any of these is that it can promote a positive reading experience and begin to help your struggling readers to find a way to connect with texts.